think we're good to go.
Are we
I'm just going to
live?
ever want to do a test one more time. Riley, for you first.
Well, you know I'm going to be loud enough.
There we go. Maurice?
This is my normal tone.
That's your talking voice?
That is my talking
Here
voice.
we go. Test,
It's
test.
Late hour. Late hour on the hip-hop station.
All right.
The quiet storm.
And we're good to go.
Awesome. Well, we're here with Maurice Leggett, CFL All Star, Winnipeg Blue Bombers linebacker, model and actor, founder, owner of Almighty All Stars Entertainment. I would say jack of all trades and all around entertaining and amazing person. And we're excited to have you join us.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, what's new and great in the world of Maurice Leggett?
Oh man, you said it all. So I don't think anything's actually new, but I'm just working on some stuff in that field.
Yeah. All right, so that's the interview right there.
There you go.
That's all you really need to
That's
do. But no, we were just talking about how the music industry in Canada, like all of our good Winnipeg artists move out to Toronto and Vancouver, and you aren't necessarily left with anybody behind in Winnipeg. Like, we have a little bit of a nightlife scene, but there's just all the good artists get stolen, and then they don't even claim Winnipeg after.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, but at the end of the day, it leaves room for other up and coming artists or just someone to perfect their craft and get better and say, well, he's actually from Winnipeg, so I think I'm better than that person, or I can get there too.
Yeah. So I know you sang you're interested in opera a little bit, but do you sing as well?
I haven't sang. I haven't
No?
sang actual note and took it serious since
You
my
wanna-
last year of college.
You want to sing us a little tune today?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well, what's the go-to karaoke song or dressing room song?
Well, my go-to karaoke songs, I have two of them because I'm such a nervous person once I get in front of the microphone and start doing music. But it's a Red Solo Cup by Toby Keith, and then the Humpty Dance, Digital Underground.
I knew the Humpty Dance because there was a video for the Bombers that you did a couple of years ago where you did the Humpty Dance. I think it was, who was the other DB that was with you? Canadian guy.
Teague Sherman?
No,
Or-
not Teague. This is going to bother me now.
Oh, man.
But you did the Humpty Dance in the video. And so I thought that might be one of them, but I wasn't expecting Red Solo Cup with Toby Keith.
Definitely. I like a lot of his music. Actually, I listened to him one summer. I was just laying down and it came on the radio while I was doing a summer job in Florida. And then I was like, oh, I like this song. And then I was like, who is this guy? And then he's like, Toby Keith. And I was like, I got to listen to some more because it was I Ain't As Good As I Once Was. And that actually got me hooked on Toby Keith.
Really?
That's really cool. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that. What was the summer job out in Florida?
Well, college teammate of mine, Alan, his dad had like a farm out there in Destin, so we built like a shed and a shack and everything. We had to put the post in and everything. So we actually built like a mini house right there outside the garden.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can imagine you're just sweating the whole time working outside.
It's
in
Florida. It's
Yeah.
Florida. I went to school not too far from where the job site was, so it's always hot down there.
So what's the juxtaposition now to living in Winnipeg and having to deal with, well, you live here year-round mostly?
Mostly.
Yeah. And so what's the differences? Like, how much of a culture shock was it to come to Winnipeg and just live the life here?
Well, for the first 3 months, I thought my name was A at after every sentence, and it's like, your name. I was like, my name is Maurice Mo, and they're like, Mo, eh? And I said, that's not my last name.
It's not Mo,
But it's everyone's friendly here, and that's what I fell in love with. I'm a friendly person until you get on my bad side, but I consider myself a friendly person. I'm a straight shooter, and in the U.S., you really don't get that. Even if you're a successful person, they don't like it because they're not doing well,
Yeah.
or not doing as well as you. So that actually, I took that to heart here. I was like, oh, I love this place, and you need something. Oh, I will help you out. Like, and they make sure you do it. It's like, well, take your time. They're like, oh, no worries. We'll do it right now. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not used to it because if someone says, oh, I'll look out for you, they might say it but not mean it. It's like you follow up with them and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't get a response or anything like that, and they actually didn't even try. So it's like those friendly gestures that made me fall in love with Winnipeg.
You've been living here, what, 4 years now?
Mostly 3, and I brought my family up here for that once we moved in our place by the stadium.
Yeah.
And you're originally from Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and moved down to Atlanta for school, and met my beautiful fiance in college, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It must be
That's
tough,
awesome.
though, just the life of playing professional football and not necessarily knowing year to year or even sometimes week to week where you're going to end up. So how do you deal with that on a month-to-month basis?
Well, this league is completely different than any other league, and this has a higher turnover rate than any other league. Football is the only sport that your contract's not guaranteed. And, I still, even though I'm not a part of the PA or anything like that or a rep for our team, I still fight for the guys, and I talk like this is not right. And I'm one of those veterans. I've been in every professional league in football, and I've seen how things work. I was part of the lockout in the NFL, and things like that. I just try to drop knowledge on the younger guys and say, this is how, don't let that, hey, you might not be here tomorrow, put you in fear of who you are.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about us as a collective unit. The players will be here long after the coaches. And we are the ones that actually put the fans in the stands. So don't be afraid to speak your mind, because for me, if you're afraid to state your opinion, a man without an opinion is a slave to me. And you want to be able to, speak your mind and not fear of consequences. There's always going to be an effect, a ripple effect of what you say, no matter what it is. But you not saying anything is 100 times worse than you speaking your mind.
I think that being genuine and true to yourself, that's something that I think it's an evolution in life a little bit, because when you're young, you have to mold yourself after people around you a little bit. So it's tough to still be yourself, and then you always have teachers telling you how to act and rules around. But I feel like the development is when you start to mature and get more comfortable with who you are in your core, genuinely who you are, and can speak your mind. That's maturity, and that's an evolution that people often have to go through in life.
Yeah, and it starts at home. You don't need a teacher to tell you how to act. Before you go to school, you knew right from wrong.
Yeah.
And people just get aside of themselves and get off track because everything's in front, and we look at society and look at TV, listen to music, listen to us talk, and then say,
Yeah.
well, I should be doing this, and what's right in your heart. I know this is not right. I should be doing something else, and it's not on what someone else is saying. You're only successful as much as what you want to do. I'm not trying to live your life. I'm trying to live my life, and I'm trying to have fun with it. And if I'm not having fun and I'm not doing what I want to do, then I'm not successful.
Yeah.
So I try to find
Well
ways
put.
to do everything that I want to do and have fun. Now there's limits. Now don't get me wrong, there are limits, but
Well, especially if as an athlete for something like the CFL, there's a lot more eyes on you than most other professions, right? So things that what they say on Twitter or what they're doing in public affects them in the public eye, right?
and I still battle this. I still battle with it because your opinion. Twitter is for expressing your opinion for others to see it.
Yeah.
And when you express your opinion and then the rest of the world sees it and they're frowning upon what you said, at the end of the day, you can't take it back. And I laugh at people that, oh, you knew what you said. You thought about it before you typed it. You thought about it before you sent it. Why are you saying, all of a sudden you're apologizing?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you apologizing? You still lost your endorsement deal. It's just, you still lost your endorsement deal. If you you click send, it's there forever, no matter if you delete it. And
Well, and then
why
if you
are
delete it, people are like,
apologizing?
why you deleted it?
Yeah, but you know, there's people that are watching you and say you got to delete that before the rest of the public sees. But it's too late. Someone saw it already, and like if I say something and it's frowned upon towards some people, I don't care. Like that's just me, because
I mean, as long as
this
you're
is
true to
my
who you
thought
are, yeah.
process, and this is how I feel about it, no matter what someone says about it. And if you don't like what I said, stop following me. Stop reading what I'm saying. Like, stop worrying about me. That's not like the people that like. I want to entertain the people that actually are not sensitive. That's what's wrong with the world. Everyone's sensitive about words. Like, even, you know, it's just like for someone can make a racial comment, and I just laugh. It's like, okay, like,
it's a decision, right? You choose whether or not you're offended by it.
If that's how you feel, or this, you make that comment, someone's like, that's racist, and it's like, well, that's what they see. They might see that every day, you know. It's just like, hey, you want some watermelon? Someone's like, that's racist. Well, you know, guys, my color, that's all they see is us eating watermelon. Hey, do you want watermelon? Like, you know, it's just, you know, that was just an example, but it's something that, you know, the world needs just to stop being sensitive about.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? To be, you know, you're in the public eye, and for a lot of things, it's good. Like if you're building business and you want to have some kind of figure within the community, it's a great thing, and it can lead to so many great opportunities. But then everything's under that microscope, and it becomes a little bit tougher just to be, for people to realize that at the end of the day, athletes are people. And so it's like, I think, you know, nobody comes without their struggles and hardships. So it's tough to just like, it's tough to take a step back and be like, this is a person, maybe they made a mistake, but having that forgiveness on that is important for communities too.
Yeah, but still, at the end of the day, a man without his, you know, his own opinion, and there's things you can't, like, this, you know, right from wrong.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
right from wrong. If you have to think about like, should I do this?
Probably
then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
you shouldn't do it. But if you click send anyway, why apologize for it?
I had my first run-in with the Angry Hunters of America this week. So I follow Cam Hanes. He's a bow hunter and ultra runner athlete, and he did an Under Armour hunt. And there was a picture basically for promo, but it was literally a decapitated water buffalo. And he talks about respecting animals, and it was like him with the head. He wasn't posing or anything. He wasn't giving a thumbs up but I went, for a guy who talks about respecting an animal, this seems like just for shock value. Like you're treating this as less than even an animal. And I thought that was disrespectful to the animal. So I voiced my opinion. I said that I respect him in a lot of the things that he did, but I said that I didn't find that this was respectful to the animal. And 58 replies later, and a bunch of, you know, I had a couple people say what you said wasn't even against Cam. It was just the picture and literally wanting to talk about, you know, what is respecting animals. But some of the hatred I got was really interesting.
Oh, well, stop following. Like,
that's what it was.
I like what you
it's
said.
It's just like, no matter what, like, you're not going to like everything about that person.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone.
But if it's just like, oh yeah, like if me and my family, like, I'm not gonna like everything my family does, or we talk about, or if that's a lie. That's a lie. You're gonna have your disagreements. You're gonna have your discussions and everything about it. Hey, you didn't like the picture. That you spoke. You voiced your opinion on that picture.
Yeah. Oh, and
so plain and simple. It doesn't like it's done. Like half the replies, I just don't even. You know, I just ignore it, because if I get going, I will get going.
Are there replies that can get to you sometimes, or do you tend to do a good job of ignoring it at this point in time?
For me, like lately, I've just post and get off.
Yeah.
Or I'll just watch some funny videos while I'm just lounging around. But outside of that, I don't pay attention to most of that stuff, especially if it's negative. Because it's not helping me at all.
Sure, yeah.
It just wears on you after a time, I'm sure.
Oh, man. My rookie year, it was my second year in Kansas City, and I was getting death threats on Facebook. So,
what?
It was the Cowboys game where Miles Austin scored 2 touchdowns on me, tied the game, and then won it in overtime. So, of course, fans are mad. And I got death threats on my Facebook wall, and it ended up getting taken off. But, like there was a guy putting like the photos of that game and was like, this is what, happened and stuff. Just like, all right, you act like I did it on purpose, but
That's
but and I was like, never in a million years would that happen ever again. And it helped mold me into the DB I am today. So I'm not like,
that's
it's
good.
whatever.
It seemed like death threats. That's that's serious. And the people that take it that far, I wonder like what goes through their head when they decide to post something like that. Where's their moral values lie?
I grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the world. A threat is a threat. That's it. And I'm not. I wasn't worried about it. That was the last thing of my worry. And I'm more worried about blinking and breathing at the same time than a death threat.
Has there ever been an incident where someone like physically attacked you, or was verbally, I guess, during or after a game even?
I played arena football once, and right before I came up here, and we were in Spokane, and we're scrambling for the football fumble, and a guy turns and like tried to do the Chris Benoit where he twists your arm and then like sit on it.
Yeah.
And he tried to like, it felt like he was getting ready to break my shoulder, and good thing I was like strong enough to like lift him up to get him off me.
Yeah.
That was probably like the worst,
Physical
because it extended outside of the game of football, and it's we're supposed to be brothers at the end of the day. It's just all competition, and it felt like you were trying to, and not just take me out the game, but take my career away from me. And this is how we feed our family. So like that was a dirty shot. And, and then if I'm a scrapper too. What was it? The home game from BC. I'm a scrapper, so I like to do that.
See, my thing with football was always if it's within the rule book and it's within like the play, I'm fine with anything that happens. But as soon as you get outside of that was when I would that's when my meter would go up and I would want to get revenge on those players, because I just there's no place for dirty football players out there. And I always wanted them to get theirs.
Yeah, even if you give me a cheap shot, I'm gonna find a way to come get you legally, And that was always been my motto. Even when I train, like there's no room for softness. I wouldn't say feminism, because like our women are one of the tougher human beings. Like they are the tougher human beings out of male and female. So it was just like no time to curl up or back down or anything like that. It's just you can't be soft, even in the weight room, and that extends from the music, your mind, everything. You can't take anything for granted.
That's interesting, because I've always found that there's a playlist for almost everything that I'm doing, whether I'm running, whether I'm in the weight room, whether I'm out by a pool. There's a playlist for everything, and I always try and build that too. So it's funny that you say that. Even the music has to be like get you in that mindset and get you like there's no backing down from the weights. Like you just have to push through. So
yeah, like for me, when I go in, I want to listen to the most violent music, and because it actually gives you that extra adrenaline to push through like a hard rep. And this is my mind frame when I go into a football game. It's either him or me, and the weights never lose, so you don't want to end up hurting yourself. I tore my pec with the Lions, which ended my NFL career, and like, I took for granted for a half a second, let my guard down for a half a second, and I tore my pec. So my mind frame is go and all the time when I'm in that situation.
So how tough is that to then come back mentally and physically? I know at the end of last year you went through the Achilles injury. So how tough is it to go through that time and just keep positive and just know that you're going to come back better and stronger?
I was determined, and guys joke about it in the locker rooms. Like it's my fault that we didn't win a Grey Cup because I wasn't there to to lead the guys. And And I didn't look at it like that, but I still looked at it as it was my fault. Because God, I'm not a vocal leader, but I'll just show you better than I could tell you. Like, I'm not a rah-rah guy. I don't talk. I like to laugh and joke with you, but when it comes down to business, I let someone else do the speaking and I do the showing. And it was my fault in the sense when I went down, the guys around were not prepared as if I was going down. So it's like they weren't ready. Like, it should be next man up, and it shouldn't. We shouldn't have missed a beat, and that's how I feel like, in a sense, like that's my fault.
Sorry, can you run us through like what exactly happened to injure your Achilles heel?
Well, I mean, it just popped. I jumped up,
Yeah,
and once I caught the onside, I planted that foot, and it just popped.
yeah,
And I just
you
fell
just
to
felt
the
the
ground.
pop, and
And then I'm looking around, and I was like, "Did someone kick me?" And guys were laughing, like, "No." And I pulled my sock down. I was like, "Oh, Kobe!" And then everyone started laughing, and I was like, "God, I can't believe I tore my Achilles." And and they were like, "No, you're lying." Like, both teams, BC and some of my teammates, they were like, "You're playing." I was like, "No." And it's like,
disbelief. You can't be injured, right? Yeah.
It's so tough. That's one of the things that can make or break some seasons is just keeping people healthy. And oftentimes as a fan, you don't necessarily see that. But with you going down, I even had that thought too, which it was like something's missing on our defense in the playoffs is kind of how I felt, because I think your ability to make plays happen in big moments. I remember one of my favorite plays. I don't know, this is just jumping in my head. It was the end of a game. I think it was a 3rd and 1, and you come up from the linebacker spot and tackle them. And they were going in to score. They're on like the 3rd yard line, 4th yard line. Yeah. And you ended up, and that was near the end of the game too. I think there might have been under a minute left, and it sealed the deal. And it's like, you need clutch players to make clutch plays, and it's tough to find people to do that.
Yeah, and I remember that play. But why not someone else either?
It's true.
If it wasn't for the other guys, I did put an effort in, but the other guys helped. And I always give credit to the teammates. If I score a touchdown, let's go out to eat. It's on me. Like, I take all the guys out to eat, and I always look for, like, if it wasn't for you, then he wouldn't have threw the ball here. If it wasn't for you, they would, they wouldn't have ran it here for me to, allowing me to make the play.
It's maybe one of the most interesting things about football is there's no other sport where you get that many males typically in the same room, whether it's the 52-man roster or I forget exactly how many you have in CFL rosters.
It's like 54.
I know it's 54.
Yeah.
And then
54,
a couple of
55.
practice roster guys too. So it's to get that many people together. It's an interesting community that forms as well. I always found it was you take the good with the bad, because sometimes you get to the hyper masculinity where it's like it's just a puffing chest match a little bit. But then you also have the brotherhood and the camaraderie, and you really keep each other in check though too.
Yeah, and I would say 90% of each team are all alphas, all alpha males, and you still have to, like, great leaders know when to follow. So if you don't allow you have to even be a better follower to be a great leader, because there's someone that always taught that leader, and this situation might not be made for me to lead right now, and it's just like waiting your turn. All right, this is your opportunity. There's like each play is designed for a specific person to make a play, to lead that play, offense and defense. So when my number is called, all right, now this is my turn to lead. And that's how you manage all the alphas.
Yeah. It's interesting because you say that you're the entertainer and just like to keep things light. And I find the best teams, you take things really seriously. You have that alpha mentality, but you also need the guys in the room that keep things a little bit more fun and just relaxed, because if you get too up before games, sometimes it gets too chaotic. You use that rage, and then if you get scored on, you turn on each other. So you need that common ground, because I have a time, like, when we played high school, we had somebody in our semifinal game like flip a table at halftime, and it was just not the right moment to do that. We just weren't that type of team either. And then the next year, we were cracking jokes before a championship game, and we were like making fun of this guy and just hanging out and like dancing around and that was our team's vibe. And then we went out there and we won that game, and we got down 2 touchdowns early, and yet we never turned on each other. So it's interesting to try and make that balance between the alpha mentality and the fun and just enjoyment of it all.
Yeah, everyone has different personalities. If someone sees me not like, if I'm not joking and playing around before the game while I'm in the locker room, someone's like, "Are you okay? You know, what's going on?" You know, hey, because I'm joking nonstop, like from beginning to end. I'm yawning on the field, like, "Oh, I'm bored." And it's just like, "Oh, I need some action" or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, Mo's good," you know. And I still get the butterflies before every game, and I'm not the same until I get that one hit in, and then I'll be good.
That's funny. I always thought the same thing too. It took one hit to feel in the game. It was usually a big, like, it was weirdly a hit to the head that would just wake me up, and then I'd be good to go. I'd be in it. I'd feel like complete adrenaline towards the game, and then be able to power through. I know that sounds bad for any neurologists out there.
Is there any like sort of preparation, any music you listen to that you do before every game that kind of gets you hyped up or going?
Like lately, I'd say the past 2 years, I've been listening to my own music.
Nice. Hey.
I thought you don't sing.
Whatever works.
Oh, I'm not singing though, for sure. But my just almighty All Stars music, and just a bunch of guys that I know. That's pretty much it. I'll throw some DMX in there just to get a little hype. But like that's pretty much it. Like my preparation, I sleep as much as I can and stretch, and like I'm having fun. That's it. That's all I want to do is have fun with it.
Is there a lot of emphasis or expectation from, say, the Bombers to like stay in shape, stay fit, like go to the gym? And is there ever a point where they become worried about like any of the players being injured off the field?
Well, we have an accountability board just for their weight room, and you get check marks and stuff like that. But everyone has a different regimen, and they do a great job of getting guys healthy, if something happens, or keeping guys healthy. And we just try to hold each other accountable so we won't get there, because fatigue sets in, and you once the fatigue sets in, you can't like let up, because that's when you actually hurt yourself or something like that. Things just happen. You get rolled up on like from another body.
Yeah.
It things happen. It's life, and it's the game of football. But like for me, when I tore my Achilles, and they're like, "Are you upset at it?" I'm like, "No. I gave everything I had. So why would I be upset?"
Yeah.
That's a good mentality.
Yeah, very good.
So what's it like when you're finally out there in front of thousands of fans? And then do you feel that fans have the ability to affect the game on the field?
I don't hear the fans at all.
No?
Like I put the helmet on. I can't hear anything. I just focused on what's around me. We have bodies trying to take your head off, let alone listening to the fans. And Investors Group by far is the loudest.
Yeah.
And in every league, like they're in Arrowhead are the loud. Like I said, this is a Canadian Arrowhead Stadium, because once it gets rocking, you can't even hear yourself. You try to talk to yourself out loud, you can't hear yourself, and I love it. I love that.
Yeah, I think Winnipeg has a reputation for being the loudest in most sporting events.
Yeah, and those moments right there, those are priceless, and love the fans for that. When I got back out there, I was a little shaky about my confidence. It wasn't about my ability. It was just like, oh man, is it good enough to go?
Yeah.
Like when it was actually the bullets were flying. But I think I'm faring pretty well. Don't you think?
Yeah, a lot of people go through that, just that confidence and coming back, especially with a serious injury, and you just got to get out there and just it's got to feel natural, and sometimes it doesn't feel exactly how it used to feel or what have you. So I've definitely been through that a couple times.
I think your record speaks pretty well for you. So
yeah, I mean for me, I try to play smarter than harder. Like physically, I try to keep that to a minimum, and it's so rare for me to run full speed. If I have to go run someone down, then I would run full speed. But even when the ball's in my hands, I'm not running full speed at all. And they're like, you worried about someone catching you? That's the least of my worries. Even now, I'm not worried about someone catching me or running by me because I know I'm physically able to do that.
My dad always said it and he was a hockey coach for a long time, but he said it's 90% mental, 10% physical. And if you play that way, if you're smart enough and you put yourself in the right spots, it's a little bit, I think, more equal than that.
I think it's 80-20.
It's about 80-20.
80-20, 80-20, 20% physical. And guys, even the younger guys, when I had that amazing year and with all the pick sixes, and the rookies are like, how'd you see that? See what? That it takes reps, film study, and just countless hours. I've seen it over and over again.
So that kind of brings me to the next question. Sorry to interrupt. When you're looking, do you look back a lot on your own plays and just kind of study your film and just kind of go forward and try to how does that work?
I look at myself a lot. I love myself. I love myself,
hey,
and I want to better myself. And I also, when I'm looking at myself, I'm self-scouting. So it's now, what is my weakness on this particular play? They might attack me that way. Yeah, I don't. If they know what I'm doing, they know what I'm doing. But execution is key, and I want to be able to execute at a high level.
It was interesting. One of the things that you said was your confidence was a little bit shaky, but I think just through knowing you the few times that we've been around each other, but you strike me as a very confident person and you have a lot of swagger, and I wanted to know if that's something that's always been a part of you or if that's something that's developed over time.
That's me, but I'm laid back, and when I say my confidence was a little shaky, I was a new position. Didn't get any reps at it, proper reps or anything like that. I'm coming off an Achilles injury. It's severe, just like an ACL. And
ACL.
Yeah, so you're you get practice. Practice is practice. You work hard and everything like that. Now you're going against someone else that you don't see on a regular basis. So now it's their tendencies change, and you try to put too much into it mentally, and you're not playing as fast as you would normally play.
It's funny. That reminded me of Allen Iverson saying, "Practice." Talking about practice, not even a game. Practice, and then he didn't miss a practice in the rest of his career.
That's basketball. Basketball and football are completely different, and he's talking about team practice, but that's a whole different story.
So what is your favorite thing to do in your downtime, and what helps you recharge so you can dominate on the field?
Oh, man, I like to eat, sleep.
Yes, good
I
answer.
like to eat, sleep, and I have so many video games. I just sit there in the bed and play 2K. I even, my son is oh, you want to play 2K? And he'll want to play it, and then I'm man, I can't play it. So I just bought another system and just put it in my room. And he has the Xbox 3, Xbox One, and he's still coming there and play my PS4. I'm dude, you got the same video game right there. And those are the things I like to do. I listen to music. I'll write some music, and that's it.
Well, it must be tough to just have that work-life balance, especially. I know whenever I was in football season, it was that sole focus was on football, and when you got home And that was usually, I mean, in university. So you had your studies, which sometimes football players weren't the best at studying, but I was somebody who wanted to get through that side too. But it's just like that sole focus goes into being physically, mentally prepared for the season. That it's tough to find that balance during.
We have great study habits. It's on what we want. We don't, because to watch film, that's studying. We're studying our opponent, and we're more than just jocks. We're more than just jocks. It's our like athletes only put effort in to what they're interested in, and that's how I've always been. I'm not the biggest person. Like, oh, I'm reading. No, you put some numbers in front of me. That's me right there. Growing up, there was this game called Challenge 24, and I loved it. But read this novel. Excuse me.
What's Challenge 24?
Challenge 24. So there's 4 numbers, top, down, left, right, and then you have to come up with a formula with all 4 numbers, the best way to come up with 24.
Okay.
So it's like 6140, and you have to come up with a formula, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then the instructions are in the middle of what you can and can't use.
Okay.
So
Never heard of that.
It was fun. It was fun. They actually had tournaments down in Atlanta and back down in the States, and regional tournaments and like U.S. tournaments.
Do you ever miss it back home in Pennsylvania, or you went to school in Georgia, right?
I went to school in both. I went to college in Georgia. I went to high school in Georgia as well. But I miss both. Like there's this game called Release that we played in Pittsburgh. It's like team tag.
Okay.
With a base, and if you get tagged, you go to that base and you have to wait for one of your teammates to come and run up and tag the base and say release, and then everyone scatters. But kind of like manhunt. But
I like the sound.
We loved it. We would play from, if it's the weekend, we will be out like 10 in the morning, 9, 10 in the morning, and we won't stop until like 3 a.m.
Really?
And then when I say 9, 10 in the morning, because you'll wake up at 6 and you have to do what your grandparents. I stay with my grandmother, so we would go around the neighborhood, clean up the neighborhood, picking up bricks. The good bricks, we would take it back to our house and make pathways around our garden. And, that was chores from 6 to 9, 6 to 10. Those were chores, and then we would play.
Wow.
But the entire neighborhood would play. There's like 60 kids.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you find that that's maybe a subtle part of your development that made you a better football player in the end?
Oh, no, man. Playing with the older kids and getting my teeth knocked out a couple of times, that helped. That helped. And then just growing up, and they're like, oh, you're too small, and you're not fast enough, strong enough. I was always the small kid growing up. My first year of high school, I was 5'3", 115.
Oh, wow.
My son is 10 years old, and he's 5'1" right now.
Safe to say you'll surpass you then.
Yeah. So, and then the second year I was 5'5", 135. My first year I got hit so hard that he made me cough up blood.
Wow.
From our All-American linebackers. And he ended up going to UGA and playing fullback. So he ended up, he
could play.
Yeah, he could play. I went across the middle. He knocked everything off except for the ball. Like even my gloves came off. Coughed up blood, cracked ribs, bruised sternum. It was all bad. Those things made me because it was like, I'm not getting hit like that again.
Yeah.
And there
kind of plays into your
there was a teacher because I hated to read, but I love poetry for some reason, and I would read poetry though. I can do that and write poetry, but my literature teacher told me that she would be surprised if I made it past a semester of junior college.
Really?
Yeah. So those things fueled me. My coach said the same thing, and I was just like, really? All right.
It's like you've never taken no as an answer. So that I think that's very important, and any successful
Oh,
person
most
can
most
probably say
definitely.
that.
If people from Pittsburgh, if I wanted to do business in Pittsburgh and I told them where I was from, they would frown upon me and would like 95% of them wouldn't do business with me just because of where I'm from.
Wow,
So,
that's crazy to me. You know what? I hear stories of it, but to actually hear about the truth of it, it's that seems insane because that doesn't define someone, at least to me.
yeah, it. Even to this day, I'm raising a gentleman with my fiance. Like this is how I was raised. I'm not holding the door open for a female. I can just picture my grandmother beating me upside the head with a Pepsi bottle. And it's still Pepsi in there, which is her favorite drink. So she's even more mad because it's fizzing up, making it go flat. And it's just like those little things help you develop into a great football player, great athlete, just mentally. Physically, you still have to put the work in.
Of course.
Yeah, I went through a similar thing. My mom pulled me aside because I didn't hold the door open. I was young and I remember it, but I didn't hold the door open for an elderly couple. And she's like, "You hold the door open." And it's those character building moments and the people around you building you up and showing you what kind of person to be in the world, like right from wrong and everything. But no, it's interesting the effect that those little things have on you. But we've talked about it before on the podcast about being the smaller man or being we called the gray men in the military. Right. And so the people that are somewhere in the middle. So not the underachievers, not the pure talent guys, the guys somewhere in the middle that are willing to put in the work and actually, day after day in the weight room, because you got to hold yourself accountable most of the time. Like there's a lot of guys who are super talented that take the easy way. They don't spend the time in the weight room. But then they don't make it to those next echelons. Like those are the guys who cop out in college ball or university or just never make it to the pros.
Yeah, there's people now like, man, I'm proud of you. And even though I don't talk to them a lot, it's like, man, I remember, like when I was in Pittsburgh. Oh man, I remember you're taking your dog, like your grandmother's dog, around the entire neighborhood. We'll be gone for like 4 hours, and I'm jogging. And the neighbors would see us. They would feel sorry for the dog. They would bring some water out for the dog in the summertime because it's like, man, he's really like running with this dog. It's like I didn't need any water or anything like that. The dog needed it. It was a chow, and that dog loved every time I, got that leash because he knew he was going for a good walk, and we had to take breaks for the dog, not me. And then I moved to Atlanta, and for high school, then. During lunch period, I would eat my lunch fast, go work out, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm working out. I'm like, man, I'm going to the NFL. That's what the first thing I said. I'm going to the NFL. Go to college. I'm like, hey, you want to go to this party? I'll catch up with you guys later. I gotta do this. I gotta work out. I gotta train. And my recruit visit, there was a couple guys in there, and I was like, I'm going to the NFL, and they thought I was crazy. And it was just the determination. Like this is what I want to do. Nothing's gonna stop me. I might have steered off the path a little bit, but I got
like
back on that path as quickly as possible.
Sounds like you had your priorities straight, and that it's like just talking about like going to the gym rather than going to parties. Or
I mean, my priorities sometimes got out of order.
Sure.
And once I noticed
You're
it, I put them back in place.
Yeah.
I put them back in place because it's like, oh, my grades are slipping. What do you mean I can't play football next semester? Oh, no. And then just go right back to doing like someone, sometimes you need someone to tell you.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. And this is what's going to happen if it continues.
Yeah.
And once that, it just clicked.
Well, that's definitely it's the path to success isn't a straight line. It's all over the place. Sometimes you feel like you're developing great and everything's going well and you're training and you're playing well on the field, and then maybe there's a setback. You get bumped up, you get injured, hurt, or somebody comes
I
along
still
and
feel like
steals your spot.
I'm going in a circle right now. I'm trying to get back. It's like a figure eight. I think I'm like backwards right now. but I'm coming forward soon.
There you go.
Well, and that also, when you were talking, it reminded me of the quote. It's study while they party, study while they party, work while they sleep, and just like, so it's do all the right things that people aren't willing to do to get there.
I'm that person. The things that people are scared to do, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. If you're afraid to say it, and I know it's right, I'm going to say it. And that's always been me. I'm not that one. It's like, oh well, this is in style, or this is what everyone else is doing. All right, fine. Like I was the kid that, everyone's wearing Jordans. I'm wearing British Knights and LA Gears, Kangaroos, Pro-Keds, and even in the NFL, I was doing it.
You also strike me just by the way you talk and even by the way you act on the field as a team player. And I guess I don't always see that in a lot of players, at least on television, or the way they talk in interviews. But definitely in the way just you've talked today, you seem very humble. Just the fact that you contribute your success to all the players on your team and your defense. Do you ever come across other players, even on the Bombers or in your past, that have been on that other level of extreme where they think it's all about themselves?
Yeah, of course. There's a bunch of guys that I've encountered like that. This is actually my 11th pro year, and you see those me guys, and we see you later, and on a different team, and that turns around and kills your career, because you were so good in a system, but you were so worried about yourself, we had to get rid of you. And it's a team sport. It's a team sport. There's nothing else you can say about it.
We've talked about it a lot before, about the cockiness versus confidence.
Yeah.
And how the cocky guys might win games, they might have a great year, but that the guys with sustained greatness have that confidence in not only themselves but the people around them, and they bring people around them up from that too.
Yeah, like, do I want to make every play? Of course, but you can still, make the play without making the tackle. Hey, I did my job. You made the play. If you're trying to go make the play somewhere else and you didn't worry about your job first, next thing you know, the ball is going where you were supposed to be. And Coach Boudreau, he brought in this board and it's team, but it's an acronym. So together, everyone achieves more. And a lot of like the young guys like, oh, that's amazing and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, team, It's like that's what a team is. And once you start working together, like, you'll make your plays.
Yeah.
We're out there for 3 hours. You're going to make your plays.
Of course.
So I'm not worried about making every play. If someone else is making the plays, that means that the opponent respected me enough not to come my way.
Yeah. There's a great saying, I can't remember who said it. A great player will win you a game. A great team will win you a championship.
And we're moving forward like that. We're moving forward, and we're growing as a team each and every practice, each and every day, on and off the field. And that is something special.
Yeah, and to see where the Bombers have come in the last couple of years, it definitely shows on the field how far you guys have come as a team. So I personally, as a Bombers fan, I'm glad to see that. Yeah.
I'm glad I've taken my lumps and since I've been here, and I'm glad that we finally made it a trend that we're winning and going to the playoffs. Now it's time to get the Grey Cup, because that's the end goal. And even for the selfish guys, I'm like, do your job, because if you do your job, like, you worried about tackles, you worried about money. Well, if you do your job, you'll make tackles. You make your tackles, you make those plays, you get paid. Plain and simple, no matter what, because we can't get paid if we're not in the playoffs. If we're at home just hanging around lounging. We lose money that way.
Right.
That's something that I've seen in both Winnipeg sports teams, well, major pro sports teams, is it seems that the cultures are now right in the dressing rooms, and they both ownerships have brought in the right people. Just like I think the players that we've drafted, that we've brought into the system in both CFL and in professional hockey, I think it's just like bringing in those character guys and the people that are going to do the right things on and off the field and in the community and say the right things. It's like those are the teams that win championships, and we have not had that in a long time, not that I've ever seen. So it's nice that it seems to be a point of both sets of ownership to bring in the right people to do those right things.
Yeah, but you still need your jerks and your turds, like for sure. You still need those. You still need those guys, like that, like the goons. You still need the goons, and the difference between like the teams in the past and now, our goons still have great character, and it hasn't always been like that since I've been here. Yeah, and that's a good thing, because like a lot of the guys that I hang out with, like they're like, oh, you're a butthole, but it's just like, but we're respectful to each other, we're respectful to others, and you can't buy that.
No, it goes a long way, for sure.
One of the other football related questions I had is, as an undrafted free agent out of Valdosta State. That's correct, right? Valdosta. Said it wrong, but did you have a time where you felt like a pro football career wouldn't happen for you, and what gives you that drive and motivation to succeed?
Man, I got in trouble during the playoffs. We had a bye week, and I got in trouble, and I got suspended, and I'm like, oh man, it's over, and then once I spoke with the coaches and everything, San Francisco was sitting there waiting on me to interview me, and I'm like, man, this is it. Like, I can't believe I messed up. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I gotta find a way to get back, find a way. Once I got there and I didn't get drafted, I was supposed to get drafted, I didn't get drafted. Now I'm like, but there was teams calling and everything, and I chose Kansas City out of all of them. That was the least amount of money, and I just wanted to play, and I felt like it was the right fit. Herm Edwards gave me that opportunity, but when I went there, that was the ultimate, like, I can't believe I'm not making this team, because they gave me Priest Holmes' number, the legendary running back for Kansas City, and I was like, I'm getting cut. Like, that was the first thing, because like, you're not going to give
Priest Holmes' number to
somebody that you're going to keep. And I'm like, man. And then he retired. I was like, whew, all right. And then my confidence started building. And like, these guys did a prank on me. Like, I didn't make the team. And I missed the first practice of my professional career.
Rough.
But that's why I said I love him, because most guys would have got cut from there and got fined, and he didn't believe in fining you as a player from the club. He took it upon the teammates to do that, and that's what happened. And I took the consequences with it, but that first week was against the New England Patriots, and it was like, oh man. But those things you just need to soak in, and that little bit of doubt probably made all of that like, oh, I actually believed it, and it's like, now to this day, it's like, no, you got to kick me out.
I think that's the right mentality to have, for sure.
Yeah.
How did you find the transition from coming from, I guess, NFL and the arena football you're playing to the CFL?
Well, to me, when someone that doesn't know about CFL football, CFL it's a mix of NFL, AFL, and rugby.
It's a very
all
different.
In one. All in one, because you have the motion, like the Arena Football League, and then you have your, the same concept as the NFL, and then also as rugby with the Rouge and all that stuff. So that was my whole mind. Like, I watch rugby, I played arena, I played NFL, and believe it or not, when we grew up as kids, we played rugby. At the end of the day, it's just a different name. They called it free fall and throw them up, bust them up. It's just different things that you called it. You just toss the football up, one person catches it, and then 30 other people has to tackle you, and then you throw it back up, and then someone else gets it. That's how you prepared yourself for it, and I didn't take it lightly. Everyone was giving me that warning. It's not as easy as you think. I don't take anything for granted. I don't care if my son was in front of me, I'm knock him out just like he's someone. He's an opponent, and I don't take anyone lightly. I don't take anyone for granted. If you're a lesser opponent, I'm trying to embarrass you and say I don't want to line up against him again.
In my own life, it's the people that I've played the toughest games against, you end up being closest with after the fact, which there's a level of hatred and respect at the same time of your rival team or whoever you're playing against, because you want to go out there, you want to knock their head off, you want to score touchdowns, you want to embarrass them, but if you play in those tight games, it's almost hard to it's like there is that amount of respect that goes along with that too.
Yeah, the respect is there. I respect every man. I might not like you and everything like that. There's teams I just can't stand. I can't wait. Like, I circle like the games. Like, oh, I want to play them. I want to play Calgary. The guy that I couldn't stand was Marquay McDaniel for Calgary. When he was playing, he always, like, for some reason we played that game against each other, and he talked. Like, if he talked to me, he got under my skin. I didn't do a lot of talking. He didn't do a lot of talking to me, but when he did, it got under my skin. And Calgary has been good for so long too, and it's like, man, they keep slipping away, or the field goal, and they end up winning by 1 point, and it was just like different ones. And he's really like the only person that catches passes on me, and it's like, I can't believe he caught another pass. We have our battles, and it's a good battle. It was like, oh man, I almost had I got a pick when I was guarding him. They throw a flag and say pass interference, and then another one where it's like, oh, I almost had it. I had to knock the ball down, and I didn't put two hands up.
Yeah,
and he says, like, you can't hold me all day, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna hit you. Like, just let me get just one good time, and that is that one person that, like, I have the utmost respect for, but I can't, I love to play against him, but I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I wanted to shift gears a little bit because I could talk football for hours and hours and hours, but I do want to know a little bit more about Mo Leggett, the man. So what would you like to be known for in this life, and what is something about you that not many people would expect?
Oh, well, I want to be known for, just a respectful person and always willing to help others. And I do that each and every day. I go out my way to help others. And I'm trying to dial back because, there's people in this world that, take advantage of it, take it for granted. And, I can't be nice to everyone, I guess. And I try to get everyone to like me. And I think that's a flaw for me because I battle it mentally. So, and it gets to me. And what was the second one?
Second one is, what is something about you not many people would expect?
Woo. I don't know. Not expect. I'll push my son out the way if he's trying to like sit next to my grandmother. I'm a grandma's boy, both like my grandmother and great grandmother. There's one incident I took him back to my hometown, and I sit in a particular spot. My grandmother sits on the edge of the couch, and she's watching TV. I'll sit on the floor and lay my head on her knee, and she'll rub my head while we're watching TV together. And it's on the left side, so Malik, my son Malik, he's trying to sit on that left side, and I just pushed him out the way. And I was like, "You better get on the other side because this one's mine." Like that's me. I'm like the super mom's boy.
I really enjoyed what you said. So this podcast itself, and even one of my personal life goals is just to make a positive difference in people's lives, and it's something that it's always been on the top of the resume, and it's always something that I've been just accustomed to in my own life. Like, just live a life for others, and then you'll be fulfilled. But one of the things that I've come to know is you got to keep your own cup full before you can help other people around you. And I think that you said exactly that, where there are people that just take that energy or what have you, and take your positivity, and so you got to make sure to use it where it's needed and where it can be helpful, but not at the detriment to yourself. You can't give too much of yourself away.
Yeah, I look at it like an idea had popped in my head like a year ago, and I'm like, you know how you have the flight attendants and they're explaining all the safety precautions, and they're like, put your mask on before you put someone else's on, help them and put theirs on. I'm like, that's like with life. You can't help someone else out if you're not in a position to help.
Yeah.
And even when I'm not in a position to help others, I still go out my way and do it. It's like I'm gasping for air to put your mask on, and then I pass out trying to put yours on, and we're both passed out. It's like, all right, like we have to switch it up a little bit.
I think that's the best analogy for that I've heard yet. I like that. I'm probably going to use that. So I might steal that from you.
Well, and we've even talked about Jordan Peterson a lot on this, but just he talks about clean up your own space. So whatever your living space, even if it's a room within a house or a basement, whatever it is, and then the relationships closest to you, your family, can something be better there, and spend some energy on that before you're trying to change the world. Because we're almost taught in school now that you should have these ideologies that change the world and help others, and it's like, but if you don't have your own S together, if you don't have your own things together, then you really can't do that at the end of the day.
Yeah, and because your life is going to go in shambles rather quickly if you don't put it in order and then help others. It's the like most of the women, like the single woman gives relationship, like marriage advice to the married ones, and it's like, why aren't you married? It's just like that. Or the single male friends, the bachelors, and they're over there like, man, you should do this for your wife. Like, dude, you don't even have a wife.
How do you know?
The same thing. It's like, man, like, yeah, you have to put yourself in order first, and then it's like, I'm not giving someone advice that I've never been in a situation.
Yeah.
Like, if I've been in that situation, and I'll give you advice if you ask for it, but I'm not just going to voluntarily just
impose it on you.
No, it's just, all right, whatever. Are you, like, if someone's like, oh man, I did this, like, are you asking for my opinion? Or because if you don't physically ask for my opinion, I'll be like, oh, okay. And then like, and most people will say like, oh, you're just you're a jerk. It's just like, why am I a jerk? What do you want me to say? I don't know what to say to it, because you didn't ask for my opinion. I don't want to do that. I don't want people to do that to me.
That's
people
fair.
do it, and I just I ignore it, but people do it.
Yeah. It's all about, you have to have those experiences before you can ever share them with somebody. So that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, do unto others what you expect them to return to you, right?
Yeah.
So, if you don't want that from other people, why would you offer it to other people? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I did not ask for your opinion. Like that is my whole brain, and I'm like, if someone texts me that, and I'm like, all right, I'm blocking you for the rest of the day.
It seems more often than not that someone is just ready to jump to give their opinion. They want to, right?
And for me, like, if I ask you about your day, I'm asking you about your day. I'm not telling you about my day. But most people ask
and then they
you
start
about
telling.
your day so they can tell you about your day. It's like, I have to catch myself a couple of times, because I'm like, I didn't ask. Like, I did. I did. But it's like, or someone's like, you didn't tell me about your day. Why would I tell you about my day? Did you ask about my day?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. I asked you about your day, and that's all I'm gonna leave it at that. Oh, okay, that's good. Then bye. Like, there's nothing else I have to say.
Yeah. It's tough to just have that likability. You want to be liked and you want to be friendly to people, but every once in a while there's that voice in the back of your head going, this person's just talking about what's wrong or there's
Yeah.
nothing coming back to me, or there's no care on the other side.
Yeah,
So
there's one
it's pretty
person that
easy.
keeps me in order in the locker room, because like I can get off the handle a little quick. Kevin Fogg, I thank him for that.
Is it his birthday today too?
It's not his birthday anymore. It's not his birthday anymore. No, those rookie days are over with for him, and he's having a great year. And actually, his birthday is 4 days after mine.
Oh, there we go.
So,
Real birthday.
Yeah. So his real birthday, and like when we first met, we just like gelled together, like we've known each other for a very long time. And I think like I'm not into your sign or anything like that, but I mean we're close in the birthdays, and he's my little voice on the shoulder. He's the little angel on the shoulder, like, you shouldn't do that. Come on, Mo. No, don't do it. And I'm like, all right.
Well, it's great. It's sometimes there's those people that come along that it seems fated that you meet, and I don't believe in fate. I think it's kind of a silly thing, but there's just those people that you gel with, or that you even have that inkling that, oh, this is a similar person. They're similar minded. Because even Jayse and myself, we met playing dodgeball. We probably didn't talk very much in the beginning points, but I just went, this is a like-minded person, and I want to get to know him better. And then sure enough, we worked together and had 2-hour-long discussions about the universe and Roman times and everything in between. So you know when you've met somebody that's similar to you, but that you have that kindred spirit and even that brotherhood with.
Yeah, things happen for a reason, and it's like, this universe is like, it brought me him, because I started finding myself coming off track, and he's I call him the holy version of me. Because he's a very spiritual person, and he makes sure, he's like, no, you shouldn't do that, and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, go home for a day. Just let me be me. And he has his moments too, and then I have to turn into him, and I'm like, you're rubbing off on me. I used to condone in this stuff. Now I'm like, no, don't do it.
It's good. You can play each other's conscience every once in a while, but I think everybody goes through those ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're on top of the world and everything's great, and sometimes you go through those lows or have to get back on track. So it's great to have somebody that can realize maybe when you're doing something negative or wrong or whatever and pull you out of it, or can congratulate you and be happy when you are succeeding.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He won't bite his tongue. If he doesn't like it, he'll tell you. And that's the type of friend I need, actually. And
it might not always be pretty, right?
Yeah, he's not the yes man. He'll tell me no a lot of times, and sometimes he'll grab me like, no. I'm like, see, you want to wrestle and stuff like this, But like,
those are the best kind of friends that you can have, right? The ones
those
that are real
are.
with you.
And he came in 2016.
Yeah,
he came in 2016, and he's one of my groomsmen now.
Oh wow.
Oh. And this guy's like, there's people that I've known for years and not even getting an invite. Life works that way sometimes.
Well, they say who is it that says it? Tim Ferriss. You're the most, like, the 5 closest people you have around you.
You're the average of the 5 closest people around you. I don't think he initially said that, but
it was someone else. But
it's a good quality because you're getting those influences. So
yeah, if it wasn't for my lovely bride to be, then we probably would just have 2 people and a bridal party each. I would have a best man and a groomsman. That's it.
There you go.
So how difficult is it then to balance family life during a football season, and especially an engagement and everything that goes along with that?
Oh, it's stressful. I'm glad that I have Kristen for it, because it's tough. Like for me, like talking to family is hard to do, and like the time zones are different, and like there's so many variables and whatnot. Like people work, I'm putting in a long day. You know, I have to call my daughter like every other day, every other week. It sucks.
Yeah.
And then, if it wasn't for her, then I probably like she talks to my mom more than I do. At first, I didn't like it, but like it's good now because it's like if I get the phone call, then that means something's wrong, and I don't like that feeling.
Yeah, it's so important to have that stable, just family unit and that support around you. Is just I know that it helps you through those tough times, but it's also just to have that love and those people that unconditionally will support you in everything you do is just even going through whether it's injuries or maybe it's the best thing. Those are the people that are there with you and just go through those experiences together.
Yeah, and I'm glad she's here because you need that support system and just to be there, just like mentally alone. It's stressful just for someone to do the job over and over and over again because being repetitive. Like we're human, our minds wander and it gets boring because it's so repetitive and you need that person just to change it up and all right, talk to you, snap out of it, and that's what I'm grateful for.
The quote comes up in my mind where this life's too hard to go through alone. So it's to have those people just regardless of, but if they're positive influences, they're there for you. And in any time that you need them, that's life. That's what you need.
We shouldn't have to talk every day.
Yeah.
When I first left the state of Georgia, I was like trying to call every day. I'm like, don't call me every day, please don't. It went from every other day to every 2 days. Like you can be like my grandmother's. Once a week is good enough because I know you're safe. I'm thinking about you and nothing's wrong. Because if something's wrong, I have to take a flight, and if I have to take a flight, it means I'm spending money, which I don't like to do. Not on that. I like to go have some fun.
Do you find that? Do you travel back to the States often, or is it like mostly during holidays, or what?
No, I'm mainly up here in Winnipeg, and most of my family is here. We're just missing our daughter, and she's in Atlanta, so that's pretty much the only time we get it. Go down there. Malik, he's fortunate enough to travel back and forth and do school first semester here and second semester down there.
Okay.
So now he's able to have an extended summer like we used to when I was younger. But we talk about it and we have that's fun. That's fun for our son, and we get to do a lot more like that.
Awesome.
Cool. What got you into acting, modeling, and ballet? And what's the most interesting event or thing that you've been part of so far?
Well, I did a little ballet when I was younger, and I did it in high school for credit. And a girl, but
did you enjoy it at least?
Oh, yeah, of course I did.
Awesome.
I had to wear a leotard. I'm glad there's no pictures circulating anywhere. But that got I did the ballet for that, just for the credit, and then there was an event here, and if I do something, if I'm doing something, I go all out and I put 100% effort into it. Acting and modeling.
You performed in Nutcracker here.
Yeah, the Nutcracker I loved it, and I can't wait. I was going to do it again, but the injury happened, and acting and modeling. So I got into acting because of Shrek.
Shrek?
Because of Shrek.
You don't hear that too often.
Actually, so when Shrek came out, I watched Shrek all the time. I felt like it was the funniest thing ever. Especially when Donkey was talking about, Donkey and Shrek were talking about ogres. What are ogres like? And ogres are like onions. That whole thing, and that, and then what's it called, Gingerbread Man? The scene where he was strapped down and and it was like gumdrop. No, not the gumdrop.
Yeah.
I would reenact that whole scene of the gun drop buttons and talk like the gingerbread man. So every time I walk around, like people in the class, like there go gum drop buttons. I'm like, no, not the gum drop buttons. And that's like everyone was like, oh, you're gonna do that, and I was voted, most likely to succeed, and modeling. Actually, my best man, he was doing he met a guy and he was looking for like Calvin Klein models and stuff like that, and he was like, yo, you can do it, you're an athlete and stuff like that. And the man had like we was modeling like Calvin Klein, and like I just graduated high school, and I needed a couple $100 just to do kid stuff, do teenager stuff that's just graduating. And I did that, and it just like flowed. And there was like one girl that was like, you did modeling? I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, yeah, my older sister has a calendar and you're in it. I was like, oh man, I can't believe that just got out. Anything like that. And I thought I only had the photos because the guy he was doing bad business and stuff, and we didn't end up getting paid or anything like that. So yeah, it was like crazy. That's how I got into it. And once I got to the NFL, that's when I used that platform to get where I was.
Nice. You did something for the Winnipeg Art Gallery too, did you not?
Yes, I loved it. That was one of my favorite ones, and yeah, I just liked it.
Well, you depicted the god Apollo for their
Olympus.
That's pretty
god
sweet.
of music and light. Yeah.
I would say that's pretty fitting. So you chose that yourself?
Yeah, I did. We each athlete had a choice. So I went with Apollo, and I couldn't do Hercules or Zeus and nothing like that. That would have been corny, or and it's just like, nah, like you really don't know Greek mythology. Then if you like it, most people are like, oh, Zeus, Hercules, and it's just like, oh, really? Oh, you don't know
the
Greek
go-to
mythology.
Deep dive.
Yeah, that like I hated to read, but Greek mythology, I would read that all day. It's like, oh yeah, like that was me in school.
So are you interested in Greek and Roman antiquity and history then?
I'm interested in it. I haven't read up on it. Like, schedule is so crazy lately, but you just like that little moment. I was like, Apollo. All right, and like let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm into music so much to where like people like Kansas City is one of the windiest places in the U.S. It's there. Omaha, Nebraska, those are like the windiest. And they're like, oh, I thought Chicago was. No, it's not Chicago. The reason why they call Chicago the Windy City is because Chicago's known for their wind instruments. And then when it's along, you have that big body of water in Chicago right there. And when the wind blows in between the buildings, you hear it whistle. So people don't even know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So like
learned something today.
that was me. I learned that in music class when I was in college. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like that's it.
So Kansas City is actually the windiest city.
I wouldn't say Kansas City, but I like anything west of Kansas City, like Nebraska, like going to Topeka, Kansas, where the tornadoes are.
Yeah.
How many tornadoes are in Chicago? Yeah, like how can it be a windy city, like the windiest city, if there's no tornado?
That's true. Yeah.
My first day in OTAs in Kansas City, we're in a hotel. I'm like on the 50th floor, and there were tornado watches and warnings all over. And I'm like,
it's right in the middle of Tornado Valley.
I'm like, man, this is a long way down.
Have you ever witnessed a tornado?
I have, but I'm so glad that like I was like flying up out of there. Like we were driving away, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
And Joplin, Missouri, the big tragedy in Joplin.
Yeah.
I ended up going, down there and helping out and stuff like that. Yeah. Old financial advisor. He's from that area, and I used to go down there a lot to see his family.
You strike me as having the entertainer vibe. So 10 years down the road when your football career is over, I'll give you till your 40s because you're in great shape now. But do you expect that you'll pursue entertaining or some sort after football, or what do you think? What do you think after football you'll do?
Are you even thinking after football?
Hopefully, I'm going to be the next. I'm going to be like the Denzel 2.0, like, and just take off on my acting career. I've done auditions and stuff like that, and getting a lot of callbacks. But football is my career, and a lot of the callbacks are during the games or when I'm not available because of the season. And
playing football is so demanding on your schedule. I guess it could be hard to just drop that.
And people like, what? You would have got paid what? And I'm like, it's not about the money right now. It's never about the money for me, because if I'm miserable, then it's not worth it.
Of course.
But I love the game of football, and I'm able to do it still. Once I'm done, I'm done. And then acting's always going to be there. I can act at 90. I could still be an actor at 90. So why that's just on hold. And I still have fun. I still have fun. I can read a script. I can still read, and I can still smile. I don't think I'm gonna lose my dimples anytime soon. So I think I'll be in good shape.
Are you gonna play football as long as you possibly can then?
I don't know about that. Each and every day, I'm like, man, I don't know about this. It's just the fact that just getting up and then like my body being tired to where the things I actually want to do with my family, I can't do because it's like, man, I'm really tired or my body's beat up, and waking up in the morning like all the soreness, and it takes like 15 minutes to loosen your whole body up just to go walk to the bathroom.
Turning 30, that's what it does to you, eh?
Man. So those are different things, and hopefully I get a call in the off season. That way I can be in a movie or something like that. And I don't have an issue with that.
Do you feel that there's an entertainer gene that you were born with, or is it just intrinsically you?
My mom tells people the story that me and my brother, we had these big glasses with the star, the glasses that have the shape like a star. Yeah. Super big, and we had guitars, and we're singing Bon Jovi songs. And we're like 3-4 years old, and we've always been like that. But now, like my first solo in chorus, I passed out and fell off stage.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like I was so nervous. It was just like, man, and you had to audition to get the part. And I was just like, the guy beat up, I'm like, man, learn this part with me. We're gonna rehearse together. And if I pass out, just step up and continue singing, act like nothing happened. I told him, he said, yeah, I said, don't. And I was like, don't play around with this. We have to win this competition. And it made it seem like it was just a part of the act. And they loved it. We got second place, but that was pretty good for a guy that passed out.
It's tough to perform in front of people. It's a vulnerable feeling, and it's that the butterflies you get before you're doing anything. I almost find that nervous energy is a good thing because it means you want to do well with whatever's coming.
I'm a perfectionist, and like for me, when I was in chorus, like my voice might get a little scratchy and I mess up a note, but I would not mess the words up. Like that was me. I rehearsed enough where I knew every word. And when I do these auditions and stuff, and I'm doing these reads, I know it. As soon as they put that camera on, it's like I forgot everything. Yeah. And it's like, there's a couple times where Malik was like filming me just for doing something for a magazine or something like that. And we did the same thing over and over again. And he got it before I did. And I'm like, I got it. He just can do it in front of the camera better than I can. And I was like, I need to step this up if I want to, make this a profession. And like I keep telling myself, like, hey, the audience doesn't know that you messed up.
That's true.
The audience, because they
until
don't know
you make it apparent. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I have to continue practicing and training my body like that.
That's a thing that when I played the drums through high school, when we do end of year concerts or whatever, because there were a bunch of different lessons that happened, and then they'd put together a band at the end of the year. But you just have to find a way to keep it together and keep going, because oftentimes when you're in front of a crowd, they don't know those hours of practice, and they don't know the exact note that's supposed to be played or beat. So if you do well enough and it's not strikingly off or wrong, then you can usually just keep it together, keep going, and nobody will ever know.
Some people have that, I think, that ability to improvise, and some people don't. Like they screw up and then it's just deadpan, right? Then, or some people can, and it's
like cracking jokes with your buddies, every now and then, and like you're improvising off of what they say to you, because you have to counter it. You counter it. So if you make a mistake, you have to counter it, with different things. And I still need practice for sure, but like there's movies out there that I'm like, I'm killing it, and they're like, you should do acting. And I'm like, nah, I don't do the camera too well. But you're in front of the camera all the time. I'm like, these are interviews. Like it's different. Like now I have to read this script and
memorize and be a character.
It looks so bad and different and foreign. It's like, do I wear glasses? and like for me, like even now, like it took me like 30 minutes before my hands stopped sweating, and they're sweating back again because we're talking about acting and all this stuff. But yeah,
you don't show it, so that's good.
I'm wiping my hands.
I know as soon as Riley told me you were going to be on, I'm like, you got Leggett on? It's like today, just before I was like shaking. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do.
It's something that I would love to do. Like, I don't know, just like entertain everyone and make them laugh. I thought about going to Rumors one time and do stand up, and I'm like, last time you were in front of a microphone like that with a big spot like that, like the spotlight. Oh man, so it wasn't too good.
In the past year, that's one of the things that's come up. I was going through a particularly dark, rough time last year in summer, but I did a lot of self-analyzing, and just the word entertainer kept coming up as something that I wasn't able to pursue as I wanted throughout football. That was always my focus. And so I went, well, let's give this a try. And so I went, well, what can I go try? And so I started, what's that?
Wrestling.
I thought about that too at one point. I'm not lying to you. I went to local wrestling and I watched them do it, and I went, I could do this. I'm athletic. I could figure this out. But no, so I went and I bought an instrument and started performing in front of people, but I also did comedy. And comedy, I fell flat. I got a couple giggles, but they weren't necessarily for the content of my jokes. But it's a different kind of demon to conquer, because you got to have your timing, your comedic timing. You got to have content. You got to be confident. You got to be, and then the lights are going and you can't see anybody. It's a strange.
You can't worry about offending anyone, because they're jokes.
No, and someone's always going to be offended anyway.
Yeah, it's like I want to, but I mean, give me a couple bourbons and then I'll think about going up there. Even when we went on the cruise and it was like the karaoke, I was so nervous. I ended up doing the Humpty dance and Red Solo Cup, and I was just like out of breath because I had that anxiety set in, and I was like, oh man.
I love karaoke. That's the place where I'm comfortable, because if you can be a showman, then everybody knows that you're going to be an amateur singer. So if you can just get people into it and just eyes on you and having fun with it, then most people don't really mind.
Oh yeah, well, karaoke is just for fun, and everyone just wants to have fun, and when you do that, like it makes it a lot easier.
Sure, yeah.
But when you're doing comedy and it's quiet right before you start, it's still quiet. It's like, and it's like the seriousness.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, loosen up already.
That'd be a good way to start out a comedy routine. Loosen up already.
I have a whole skit on my phone in my notes, so just like a 5 minutes. Like I was like, I'm gonna do this at Rumors, and then like, when you going? I don't know yet.
It's just being willing to be vulnerable and put your foot, like, get that momentum going, put your foot through the door and try it, and then you can only get better from that first time. But I might not start at Rumors. There's Cavern. There's some other places you can go to try it out.
So Rumors must be the
it's the big. That's where the legit comedians come and perform.
Right,
in
they say there's
Winnipeg.
amateur night somewhere. I was like, oh no, go big or go home. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. If I can't make it, like I want to try to knock your socks off or something like that.
That's a good
It's just
mentality.
about doing it. It's like
kudos
I
to you
perform
even
in
trying
front
it.
of
I-
30,000 people, so on a regular basis. So why can't I do it in front of what is it, like 500 people? I don't
Less
know.
than that
Less
even.
than
Yeah.
less than that. And it's
be
like
fine.
most of them, they probably had too many bourbons. And they won't remember tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
So you strike me as both an athlete and intellectual. Are there any influential figures that have helped you on your path?
Number one was my grandfather. My grandfather, he always taught me to take care of home, no matter what, no matter what's going on. Make sure home is always taken care of, and he set a great example for that. My biological father, he wasn't in my life, but he also, and I say he was the best dad for me because he taught me what not to do, and most of those don't, they get overshadowed, and that like there's a list because it's just growing up rough. When I was homeless, you had my best man. He's 2 years older than me, but his parents took a great care of me, and we hid it so well. It was like, oh well, can he spend the night? Those excuses and stuff like that. And his mom was diagnosed with breast cancer one off season. That's why I started wearing the pink beanie, and his dad was like one of those, like, if I knock on a door, hey, can he come outside? And it's like, well, he's doing yard work, and then he can come out. I just go around the back and help him, and he liked that, and he taught us how to do different things. So you had like those, and it's one of my coaches. Just like the list goes on. Goes on, but those are like the major ones that actually did it. And like my great grandfather, before he passed away, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, prostate cancer, but he only remembered me, and I mean down to a T. He wouldn't remember his own wife, but as soon as I walk in the room, he remembered me, and I was like, okay, all right, I have to be being a good example for everyone. And it's just what you leave, like that personality that you have, and you leave it for someone else, and it's like that impression that you leave with someone makes it that much better, and they remember that what you leave is what that's what they remember.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know so much of that as part of your
It's
story.
powerful.
Yeah, I noticed you wear that beanie every game, but I never really knew the reasoning behind it. And I mean, I guess you can hypothesize or think about it or be like, yeah, because it's usually breast cancer awareness month or cancer awareness month in either the CFL or NFL. But yeah, and then I didn't know. So how did you end up homeless, and what was that?
Oh well, it was dry. It's not too much into it. My sister was raped by a man living with us, and he got away with it, and I wanted to retaliate, and my mom saved me from. She saved my life because I probably would be behind bars or something like that, and she saved me out, and she didn't have a choice but to, kick me out. So it's the life,
Sounds like a good, strong family though that you have. So
yeah.
nice.
So we all look out after each other.
Yeah, the fact that you had so many figures around that cared enough for you and cared for you and wanted to help and were there just to like bring you back up is, I mean, yeah, those are the people you keep close because you know that they're at the end of the day they're going to be there for you. They care about you and they love you. So it's, yeah, you got to hold on to those people and be grateful for them because it's like without them, where would you be? And that's a tough thing to realize.
Oh yeah, and just in the neighborhoods that we've grown up in, like everyone's different. Like there's a story in everyone's family. There's a story in everyone's family. It was just closer, with me. It was a close family member. So and I don't like everyone in the area knew, everyone in my school knew what happened. So it's like not everyone has problems, and I just keep moving and stay focused on my path.
It's true. Sometimes you learn so much from sometimes the negative people around you, and just I learned a lot who I didn't want to be from some people. So it's when you can take those as lessons and you can say I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Is it can be constructive, and sometimes it can actually go too far the other way. I mean, I found I was scared of certain circumstances or just being confrontational with people because I had to live with some of that confrontation. So it's tough when you develop in a certain way because you think it's the right way to be, but then you actually have to evolve past some of that hurt and some of that pain sometimes just to become stronger and become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, sometimes the pain, like if you cut yourself, it scars up, it scabs up, it covers up. And how does it heal? The way you treat it is how how you'll heal. And you know, do I think about it? Yeah, but like I can't be mad. Like I'm not taking it back because this is who I am. This is what made me. So
Yeah.
like I can be ruthless. It's like when I choose, I just use it playing football. That's it. Like I wanted to play basketball, but I got clotheslined and I didn't fare too well. I was like, don't worry about me playing basketball anymore because I'm going to go to college to play football. Like because if I get hit, I want to hit you back.
Yeah.
And I grew up.
So was that like growing up? Was that what you wanted to be as a basketball player?
No, actually, the funny thing is when I was a kid, I was like 6 years old. I found this white shiny rock. And I told my grandmother I was going to build the house, and this would be the foundation. This would be the beginning of the foundation of the house once I get to the NFL, because all my friends and family are in the NFL. Curtis Martin, Brandon Short, Dwight Stone, from it's like all these guys that I'm surrounded by that looked after me, cared for me, like related to. It's like these are the stars, like. And I'm like, well, I'm going to the NFL too. Not gonna stop me. And once I did that, I was like, told my grandmother, I was like, hey, so where you want to move and stuff? And she said, I'm not moving anywhere, but you can get every single one of these people out my house, including your grandfather. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I just made the best of it when I was in NFL.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's just building yourself up, but it's
Yeah.
great to give back to those people that when you can. One of the things I did want to talk about is if there's a work hard, play hard mentality in football, and if it's tough to balance such a physical and strenuous game in the rest of life.
Oh man, work hard, play hard. A lot of people do it. I play hard, and I play really hard, and on and off the field. But I work hard, and people are like, I don't know how you do it. Like, this is my career. This is my craft.
Yeah.
Like, I can be up all night. I could be up all night and just all I need is an hour to 3 hours, and I'm good.
Wow.
And I'll just keep going. And people are like,
crazy.
oh, you're crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy.
But just think about it. What was Kobe doing? Up 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Going, shooting in the gym, practicing his craft.
That's what it takes, right?
They're practicing his craft. Like, I don't have to be out, partying all the time, but I can be up. Like, I'm going to have fun. Like, the last thing, I'm not going to be a hostage of what it is. How do you look at this game? Is it a job or is it your career? It's my career. I'm not letting anything affect my career. And people are looking at it as a job. And that's why they're like, oh, I can't, like, oh, I wouldn't be able to meet. I couldn't do that. And I'm like, why not? Why not? Or when people do it, oh, I'll do. You can do it every day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But you're worried about losing your job. You're worried about losing your job as opposed to advancing in your career. Like I am very confident that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with my career.
So you think a lot of people let that stop them from kind of bettering themselves is because
they're worried about the fear of losing their job prevents them from bettering themselves with their profession.
Yeah.
And I was a victim. I was worried about not losing my job like that. And then what happened? I ended up going to a different team. So it's like that, and it mentally drains you. And then once your mental's starting to go, everything else starts to go. Your body starts to go. You start to feel exhausted. You start to feel tired. Like my best energetic moments are when I'm having fun and I'm out playing hard. And then I go practicing and like, oh, you had some fun last night. You right. You are darn right. Like I did, because like I also know how to have that balance as well.
Yeah.
And most people don't know how to do that.
We talk about that a lot on the podcast here, having that life balance. And although the career is very important to you, you have to have something else to balance it out too. You have to have fun. You have to be able to relax and let out that frustrations too, right? Yeah,
we're adults. I want to do adult things. Like, and I'm not worried about what the next person thinks. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. My college coach, he had this saying like, don't go out hooting with the owls if you can't soar with the eagles. Plain and simple. And he just said, don't be up and out all night if you can't perform at a top notch level. And I was like, oh, okay. Like my best moments are when I'm having fun.
Yeah, my parents always said a hangover was never an excuse the next morning, but I do enjoy the way that you view it's job and career, and I think the separation is the love that you have for football. I mean, if people are seeing it as a job and they're there for the paycheck and they're there because it's what they're good at, and there are a lot of guys, I mean, that's often a critique of professional sports itself, is it takes away a little bit of that love of the game, and then it's just the people that are good at it or there for the money, and oftentimes that's the critique. But the people who genuinely love the game are the ones who are good teammates, are going to do the right things and show up in the morning to work, even if they had a fun night the night before. That's the separation between good and great.
Yeah, and a lot of guys look at me and they give me that look and start laughing. You're like, yep, you like we were on the same page. Just, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. I had some fun, and all right, but now I'm here. Let's work. Like that's me. Like let's go to work and let's do work, and we're gonna have some fun doing work.
Yeah,
I think that's the right mentality to have, and I think, like, fortunately that you were able to. Well, not fortunately, you worked hard to get to where you are right now. So the fact that you telling the story about people saying that you're not gonna do this, not gonna do that, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it. I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, if you say I can't do something, I'm just gonna go prove you wrong. I like to be that I'll prove you wrong person. Like I'm that guy.
I think more people can take a page out of your book for that. There's a lot of people, and I wish it wasn't the case, that when they're told no, they get shut down, and unfortunately,
they're still finding themselves as well.
Sure,
because I've been told no before, and like I've shut it down before. And then it's like, why? Why did I shut this down? Because I was told I couldn't swim. Like I shouldn't be doing swimming.
Yeah.
And I shut it down. And I'm like, and when I look back, I'm like, why did I stop swimming? I broke every record in swimming in school. And it's like, all I had to do was just continue perfecting that craft, and I would have, got a scholarship or something like that. But I was like, oh, well, like, they said black people couldn't swim. Like black people don't get scholarships for swimming. And I was just like, oh, all right, forget it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now I'm thinking about it. It's like, man, I broke every backstroke record, shattered it.
Prove them wrong.
And it took what? It's like my last couple of records just got broken like 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, in school. And I graduated in 2004.
Wow.
So
you held a record for a decade. That's
one
crazy.
of the things I was thinking is you have to keep knocking on the door before it opens. Like if you want something, you go get it and you keep going until that door opens, and then all of a sudden
yourself.
that opportunity comes.
And law of averages, if you keep getting a bunch of no's, you're eventually gonna get yes. And I mean that's why I have a fiance now, you know. You think and like it's just
how many
like,
no's before the yes?
she didn't technically say no, and you know, it's a funny story on how we met, but just like you're talking to a girl, if you really like that girl, you're not settling for that first no or anything like that. If you're gonna have to prove, like you're thinking to yourself, she's gonna have to prove that it's really a no. Because you're looking for, she's saying no, but you're looking for every sign
that it's otherwise.
That she's saying yes. So she might be like, giggling, like no, and giggling. Well, you know, that's like, that she's just playing around right now.
Yeah.
You know, eventually she's gonna say yes. And like I asked her, did she have a boyfriend? And she said yes. And I was like, not for long, because you'll end up with me. And she laughed, and I said, that's where I got you. I made you laugh, and I walked off. And you know,
the rest
Smooth.
is history.
It's like 6 months later. Then it was like 6 months later. Then she ended up being pregnant with Malik, and and it was like then the rest was history.
There you go.
Yeah, that must be tough, like early on in a relationship to go through that, but it either brings you closer together or further apart. So.
Yeah, it does, and
How long have you two been together
I
now?
am no walk in the park. We've been off and on since we met, but I am no walk in the park, and I'm glad she didn't take just my butthole jerk moments when I was like, no. Like, so, and she's helped me a lot to not being even more of a jerk.
I did want to know what your daily routine's like, and if you have any unique practices or routines you follow.
Oh man, in the morning, I get there, I eat breakfast. I eat eggs with sugar on it.
Sugar on eggs?
Yes, sugar and pepper.
I've never heard of that.
It is.
Well, you have to
disgusting.
season it. You have to season it at the stadium on your own, because not everyone likes the same seasonings and stuff like that. But don't knock it until you try it. Like
I
it's
have
pretty
I'll have
good.
to try it.
Yeah.
If you had like different peppers, like green, like you have the green peppers, your red, and all of the red and the orange ones are sweet. Just think about it.
True, that's true. Yeah.
So if there's no peppers in there, what do you do? Put a little sugar in there. I'm not into. I love sugar though. I wish there were grits here. I put sugar in the grits, but that routine, I eat the grits. I eat the eggs, and like the potatoes that they have in the morning, and I'm like just listening to my music over and over again, and I'll put my head in the locker and just wait until a couple players come in, and I start joking nonstop. That's one thing I have to do is joke. And that's like pretty much the routine that I have. Eating my eggs and potatoes, listen to my music, and joke nonstop. That's in my everyday routine, for sure.
Random side note that Rod Hill found grits in Steinbach. So there are some in the small town just outside the city.
Oh, Rod also told me there was some grits that sold at Sobeys, but I didn't see it. I was sitting there for 2 hours looking for it.
2 hours.
So I'll have to give Rod a phone call and say, "Hey, look, I'll e-transfer you the money
Bring me
if you show me the receipt and let me get the grits."
Just a couple more questions, but what do you think the biggest issue facing our planet is today? Or society?
Oh, asking the big questions now.
I mean, outside of people take words to heart too much. Like that is the biggest thing. Like
Agreed,
for me, it's like somebody just says something. So what? So what?
Well, especially in an age now where everything's so accessible to us, especially with the internet. Everyone is on edge all the time.
And it's like, oh well, like in the U.S. like the police brutality is wrong. It's wrong to the core, but this is not the first time. Like everyone's seeing it now because of technology. You know, you go back like Rodney King, Dr. Martin Luther King, like Muhammad Ali. They all were abused. You know, like the Trayvon Martin situation. Like everything. Like people have been like, you know, abused by, you know, authority and stuff like that, and like with people saying certain things, like, oh, I take offense to it. Why is everyone worried about what Donald Trump is saying? Like really, like he says, like he's saying it like
he has
I feel
this
like,
uncanny method of getting on everyone's nerves.
yeah,
it
it's
seems.
like I just like when I read something he writes on like on Twitter and someone retweets it, because that's the only way I'm seeing it. Because if I don't like it, I'm not going to like continue following it.
Yeah.
Like if I don't like it. So saying something, and he made a comment about LeBron, and someone retweeted it and started bashing, you know, Trump, and I'm laughing because it's like, do you really think he's reading this? Do you really think he's reading it? Like you tweeting Donald Trump, you think he's reading it?
Probably
no,
not.
like no,
Well,
like
never know. It's
no,
he
you
spends a lot
never
of time
know,
on
but
Twitter,
there's like millions
yeah.
of it, and
What's the
if
chance?
he, like,
you know?
yeah, it's like if I get a lot of replies and stuff like that, I go to the ones with that blue check on there, that the verified accounts, because they have it. Like, okay,
Well,
who's the verified accounts replying?
Donald
Like, who-
probably has someone like going through his tweets and combing through it, and then like these are the ones you can read. These are the ones to ignore, right? Too. So,
But yeah, exactly. So there's probably someone typing it for him.
sure,
You know, it's just like just for attention. He's always been that person.
Yeah.
So now that he's
Plus,
in
he
office,
wants the attention.
now
too,
that
so.
he's in office, now you're taking everything to heart that he's saying, and with our kids is another thing. It's like it takes a village to raise, you know, a young man, a young woman, and it's like, hey, your child was doing this. Not my child. You know, like it doesn't matter what race, you know, what ethnicity. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's that like, look, if my child is acting up, spank my kid. Like but if someone sees it, oh, we're reporting you or something like that. I'm like, okay, go ahead. And in the U.S., you can do it in public too. You can do it in public, and in the rule it states on the meaty part of your buttocks,
Really,
and it's not considered abuse.
really,
Yeah,
not know that.
if you spank your child, it has to be your hand, and they actually extended it to a belt, but it has to be. You can't leave any bruises because
Right.
Like, but like you say, I whooped my child, yeah, on the meaty part of the buttocks. There's no offense for that, and people take it like to the extreme.
Oh, of
like,
course, yeah.
Oh man, and I'm like, man, like really, like the people that are still making these rules and all that stuff. Hey, didn't you like you got a switch when you were growing up, or an extension cord, and you're talking about someone getting backslapped across, like Ric Flair across the chest. Like you're worried about that? Like that's really gonna make or break a kid?
Yeah.
And it's like, shut up. Like I'm that.
Well, there's the line of correctness, and it seems that we've come since our parents' generation or the last 40 years, it's evolved into this like very bubble wrap society where we don't want anything to happen that affects people, and we want to keep everyone safe. And
It also seems like everyone's
the
control
world is so
language
sensitive. Oh no, don't do it. No.
But everyone has business in everyone else's business now. It seems too.
Yeah,
And
I
I don't agree with that.
Look, I'll tell another kid. Look, you better like I'm that different. I'm a parent, so if you're acting up, I wish I like it baffles me how the young men, like kids, are growing up and are being disrespectful to their parents. If I see it, it only takes about 10 seconds. You continue doing it, I just wait for the parents' response, and then once that, I'm like, oh, they're not doing anything. All right, now I'm stepping in because I don't
don't like that.
Yeah.
Let me disrespect it. Someone older than me. Whew.
Respect your elders, right?
Yeah, I'm probably getting thrown through a wall or something, and it didn't matter. Like we're going shopping. Oh, you want these canned goods? We're gonna put all of them in the cart as I'm using you to swipe them down. Like that's that is the life that we grew up when we were younger. Like when I was 6, 7 years old. Yeah, let me back talk a parent if you want to, then we're going to give you a reason not to talk. Like that's why like that was parents back then. Like back talk your mom, right in the mouth. And all right, now you can't talk to back talk.
I wish I remember the full story, but my grandmother was a school teacher in a small town in Manitoba, and there was a kid that was jumping on the desks of the tables, and she came in, and the first time she warned him, if I ever see you jumping on the desk again when I come in this class, you're getting a spank on the butt.
There you go, fair warning.
Next time he was doing it, sure enough, brings him to the front of the class, pulls smack on the butt, and then instantly knew what she had done. Walks into the principal's office, tells them, they say to the parents, and then the parents come in and say, well, did he deserve it?
There you go.
But that was the mentality.
That was in 9th grade for me was the biology class.
Now it's a lawsuit.
It's wild because in 9th grade I was like acting up, like I was being disruptive in class, and the teacher, she brought me into in the chemical room and stuff like that where all the beakers and stuff are, and she hit me upside my head with a biology book so hard, and then called my mom, and she's like, well, do it again. Like I can't say the words that my mom said, but well, do it again if you ever. Like I was just like, but she's one of my favorite teachers though. She's one of my favorite teachers, and I was like, like dang, I'm glad no one saw it though.
Must be hard to be a school teacher these days.
And everyone loved that teacher, and she ended up being a principal. She's still a principal, but she'll tell you, I do not play, and I'm just like, yep, she don't. She cracked me right here across the head.
I learned firsthand.
There you go. Lesson learned, right?
Yeah.
So I have one more burning question. If you were to give advice to someone striving to reach their goals, what words of advice would you give them?
I have two. Phrases. Don't stop and find a way.
I like it.
As you don't stop. You can't stop for no one, nothing. If you really want it that bad. If you quit, you didn't want it in the first place. And then by any means, you have to find a way, because it's never going to be easy.
Yeah, there's always that weak spot. You just got to find it. And if you keep searching, one day you will. And so if you don't quit, you keep going.
It's on my Instagram. There's this plate that says "Find a Way" right there. And in college, we used to tap it right before we go out to practice, right before we go out to games. You find a way. And at the end of the day, everything's a competition.
Yeah.
I don't care what no one says. And that was the biggest issue for, our family with the sports thing. The fair play rule, it's crap. It is because everything is a competition, no matter what. Even with the grades, they have the valedictorian and all that stuff. Like it's a competition. When you go into an interview, it is a competition. There's no you get the job for trying. No, you don't get that. Like no, like nothing. Like if it wasn't for my son's mom, he wouldn't have a trophy for participating. Like no, it's not. That it that irritates me.
What you're initially saying there actually reminded me of a quote. Will Smith said it, but he was quoting Confucius, and he said, there are people that say they can, and there are people that say they can't, and they're both usually right.
Yeah, they are the ones that say you can't get the job because you don't believe in it.
You know what you want, yeah.
Yeah, but like that, oh man, like that irked me and Kristen too. She was like, "What?" She had a tougher time than I did, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't. Like, this is like, I don't know how to deal with this," because we're teaching our kids that it's okay to fail. It's okay. It's like hey, Don't worry about getting the job. So you're teaching them to fail, and you're going through, because if you go through the motions, you're failing. You're not putting your best effort in there.
Right.
If you know if I do this properly, I'm winning. I'm going to win. Going to win. But if they're going through the motions, they're not giving their best effort.
Yeah.
And
not that failure is a bad thing, but as long as you're giving your best.
Yeah, but you're teaching them to fail. Like to fail without no lesson learned.
Right.
And you know, it is about winning and losing, because I don't say losing a lot. Like, we didn't win. Like, it's that other column. Like, it's been instilled in my brain from school. But losing is when you're quitting. And when you quit, you actually you actually lose. Because if you don't win, then you take the mistakes that got you in that situation, learn from them that way to put you in a position to actually win. And when you're not doing that with the fair play rule and equal, equal opportunity, and my kid doesn't get enough play time, and it's like, oh.
So what do you think about, like, because they
spend more time with your kid and help. If you don't like your kid not playing, help them get better.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
They offer, like, I know they do the whole trophies for participating, so there's no winner in some sports now in certain schools. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap, because guess what? Do you get a ribbon? Do you get a paycheck for the interview? You don't get the job, but you don't get the job, but you did the interview. Do you get a paycheck? I don't think so. Like, everything that we do in this world is based off competition, because they're looking for,
and it's healthy too.
Yeah.
How I would say it is that there's a comfort zone to not keeping score and to giving participation trophies and things. And so if everybody's living in this comfort zone, then how do you grow?
Yeah.
We know that the best way to grow is being outside that comfort zone, whether it's losing a game or maybe it's winning a game or pushing yourself to win that game. But you learn more from your losses often than you do your victories. So
But you got to put in the effort. Right?
Yeah,
That's
and teaching people to be good, quote unquote, losers. But if you lose the game, you're not necessarily like, it's that mindset, learning that mindset where maybe I lost the game, but next game I'm going to go out and win. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to get better, and that's what leads to growth.
Yeah,
is being outside that comfort zone.
Man, there was an incident. First got here, and it wasn't too much into it. Like, I was teaching the kids to be smart athletes, use your brain more and stuff like that. The coach didn't like it and said a couple words to behind my fiance when I wasn't there about, subliminal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we exchanged some emails, and I just said, look, like, you can have your opinion, but those men that are afraid to approach other men but will approach a female, those are the ones. I'm like, well, we can have a meeting in a janitor closet. Like, that was, I'm like let's, because now you're hovering over a female about these issues, and I don't know how it's gonna, like, what the outcome may be. You never know these days. And then especially with the world is, the way the world is, and the violence against women, you don't want it. I don't want my fiance to be in any type of situation like that.
Of course not. Yeah.
So that was my biggest issue with it.
Yeah, if it's come to me if you have a problem with something that I've done, come to me as a man, or whatever it is, come to me and say it to me. Don't say it behind my back. So and then we can deal with the issue at hand.
Yeah, it's like, man, you like these guys that hit women. Like, I grew up in that house. Like, I grew up seeing my mom get beat up on. Like, that no, like, but you won't approach a man.
Yeah.
You don't approach a man. Why? And that, like, gets me turned into the Hulk or something like that. It's just like, ooh.
That was part of Ray Lewis's story too, about his mom being assaulted when he was in his youth, and he was like, I wanted to become so strong to let that never happen to her again. And he said that was part of his story and development.
That fueled him, and, like, sad to say, like I wouldn't say like people think it happens more in our community than other communities, and it's like no, it happens everywhere. It happens in every family. It's like man, like do you want your mom, your sister, your daughter, your grandmother getting hit like that? No, and like like with this whole thing, we have to protect our women because at the end of the day, they actually run the world. Just think about it. Like everything they do, they say and do, we're at their like we're eating out their hands.
Well, that's one of the most effective and important community programs that the Bombers have is the Break the Silence on Violence Against Women program.
That's actually league wide.
Yeah, so I think it grew from BC to here, and now I guess every team has adopted it as well. But
That's a good thing.
It's great that to have, these athletes that are tough and play an aggressive game, but that are willing to have this conversation and at least get the conversation started about healthy relationships and how women should be treated and honestly how everyone should be treated in the world. So I think it's impactful to hear it from people. I know that we talked about a little bit the double-edged sword and the negative aspects of it, but the fact that there's a platform and athletes can make a positive difference is such an amazing part of it.
Yeah, it's good, and we still need to be us as athletes need to step up more, but we also need to be educated more as well, because not everyone no one knows everything about how to treat a woman, or like every woman is different because their personalities, every man's different with their personalities. Some things we say we might not think nothing of it, but it affects a woman, and we just have to be educated more just with that female that we're encountering.
Yeah,
as
just more
well,
open about it, right? Yeah.
It's all about that communication.
And what you like, majority of the time, it's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Yeah, tone is everything, but it's the fact that this conversation is starting in high schools and at a grassroots level is so important. But even I think there's things that as a culture we need to learn too. So I think you said it exactly right. Is you have to take each situation, each person, and use your communication skills and just be able to find the boundaries and get to know that person.
Agreed, definitely.
Yeah, but it also how have we been trained growing up? Everyone's been different, and like if you're not taught to respect women, or if you haven't seen like the disrespect around, then how would you know if no one's around to teach you or talk to you about it?
Right. Well, if all you see is violence in your family or something like that, and you grow up that way, then how do you know better? I grew up with mostly women, and they were always the strong symbols in my household. So I grew up respecting my mother, my sisters, because they're the ones. I was the youngest one, so they're the ones that taught me.
Yeah. If you picture like your mother or your grandmother's head on that person, it's like I can't do that. Like, don't do it. But we just as men just have to treat women with respect and a lot better than what we have done in the past, because you already know there's the stereotypes that we have just from back in the colonial days.
Yeah.
What are they? Hey, they're there for babies, cleaning, and cooking. Times are changing.
Yeah, times are changing fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can we expect for the rest of the season from Mo Leggett?
Hopefully I don't get any more passes to me. That means that that means that I'm doing my job, and that means that these quarterbacks know better. But you'll see a lot of high activity and some fun and a lot of queen waving.
That's yeah.
Well, we always know you're going to bring the fun, the entertainment, and solid play. So before we end this thing, where should people go to find the adventures of Mr. Maurice Leggett?
Ooh, Almighty 3-1 all social media except for Snapchat. I'm coming for that name on Snapchat, but on Snapchat it's Real Almighty 31. So you can't miss it. And sometimes I'll go on Instagram Live, like when I'm doing cooking or something like that, and I have some time and battery life.
Starting a cooking show anytime soon? Or?
No. I don't want my secrets out there like that.
And any events or any modeling or movies we should know that you're in coming up?
No movies, no modeling right now. I'm working on my my hip hop album, and right now one of my songs are scheduled to be out in Banjo Bowl week.
All right.
And then one of my artists, he's from Free Bands with Future, and he did a Blue Bomber anthem, and hopefully the DJ will play it in Banjo Bowl as well.
Cool. That's awesome. So yeah, I guess the next game day this Friday, the 10th versus Hamilton at Investors Group Field.
Oh, it's a battle. It's a battle because their top defensive player, Larry Dean, we went to the same college. We played together, won a national championship together, close friends, and I can't let him outdo me.
There you go.
I can't let the young grasshopper outdo me, right?
So anything else going on that we should know about?
Oh man. No, that's pretty much it. If you wanna book travel, email us. Like email me and Kristen Leggett Travels at gmail.com. We're travel agents. We have our own travel agency, and that's pretty much it for right now.
Awesome. So as always, we're Be The Change, and you can find us at Be The Change YPS on both Instagram and Facebook. Our email, this is my favorite part of the whole thing, b.the.change.yps at gmail.com. There's a lot of dots in there. Yeah. And actually, big announcement, we do have, maybe this is a little early to say, but we do have a website in the works. So
That's fair. Eventually.
Yeah. Once we can get around to it, we do, work regular jobs. So whenever we can get that out to you, but I think that'll be great. And we have some great ideas on
anyway.
on how we can get some extra content out to you as well. And I wanted to thank you, Mo, for coming on and doing the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Man, I always knew that you were an entertaining, awesome person to have around at the events and stuff. So it's awesome to just get to sit down, learn a little bit more of your story, and just get to know a little bit more about you and all these awesome things that you're doing.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll look for you out in the field.
Just follow the pink cap.
Will do. All right. Take care, people.
Take care.
All right.